The regular board meeting, clerk of the board, please call roll.
Arencibia?
Present.
Hall? Oh, maybe Mrs. Hall. Segura?
Here.
Solis?
Present.
Tarantino?
Here.
Aguirre?
Here.
Stubblefield?
Okay. We will hold a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance, and then if we can, in our thoughts for the moment of silence, if we can keep in mind the sailors who died died in the helicopter accident aboard the USS Lincoln a couple weeks ago. Those sailors, we lost 5 sailors. Thank you. Stand for that. Over your heart, please. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Did I lose my? I already lost. The board met in closed session. Preceding this meeting, discussed the following issues. 1, student expulsion, suspended expulsions, reinstatements, Education Code 48916 to 48918, students identified by ID number. 2, student employee discipline, dismissal, release, reclassification, reassignment, resignation, transfer government code section 54957. 3, conference of legal counsel, existing litigation, paragraph 1 of subdivision D of Government Code Section 54956.9. 4, Conference Legal Counsel, anticipated litigation, paragraph 2 of Subdivision D, Government Code Section 54956.9. And finally, 5, Conference of Labor Negotiator, Government Code Section 54957.6. The board took the following action. Moved by Segura, second by Solis, to approve the reinstatement of 2 students with a vote of Arencibia yes, Hall yes, Segura yes, Solis yes, Tarantino yes. Moved by Arencibia, seconded by Solis, to deny the request for leave of absence for 1 certificated employee with a vote of Arencibia yes, Hall yes, Segura yes, Solis yes, Tarantino yes. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda for the September 13th, 2021 regular board meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved. I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Stubblefield?
Yes.
Arencibia?
Yes.
Hall? Segura?
Yes.
Solis?
Yes.
Tarantino?
Yes.
Motion passes 4 yes, 1 absent.
Thank you. We will now provide an opportunity for SDCOE Representative Dr. Mark Scavar to make any comments, should he choose.
No comments tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Scavarna. We will now have an update from our superintendent, Dr. Moises Aguirre.
Thank you, President Segura. Good evening and buenas tardes to everybody. Welcome to our September 13th, 2021 board meeting. This week marks the last week before our district's fall break. On this occasion, it is important to remind ourselves that while many of us were hoping at the beginning of this school year that this year would be a return to normal, it has not been that way. We continue to require face masks, conduct contact tracing and quarantining, as well as self-isolating. All of these actions are with the goal of continuing to offer in-person instruction in a safe and healthy manner. This past Saturday, September 11th, marked the 20th anniversary of the worst terrorist attack on our country. I still recall to this day with much clarity that day. Much was lost for many. On this solemn commemoration, I call on all of us in our community to remember to exercise kindness and care with our fellow human beings. Lastly, on Friday, I had an opportunity to attend the Salute to Teachers, hosted by the County Office of Education. It was great to see 2 student groups from our very own Chula Vista High School represent our district. Great job by the Chula Vista High Ballet Folklorico and by the House of Guitar. Great way to represent Sweetwater Union High School District at this county-wide event. Congratulations to all the Sweetwater Teachers of the Year for 2021. And they are Marina Dillingham from Bonita Vista High School, Sarah Kesty from Castle Park Middle, Gregory Simpson from Chula Vista High School, Ivy Medrano from East Hills Academy, and Nicole Quick from East Lake High School, as well as Kristen Elam from Sweetwater High School. Congratulations to each and every single one of you. And lastly, as we get ready for the fall break, I wanted to issue a friendly reminder to continue to practice safe behaviors to protect us from COVID-19, as well as to continue to encourage vaccinations for all individuals who are eligible. This is the only way we will ensure we can continue to be safe and healthy. Stay safe, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent. We'll now have a report from the Student Board Representative, Ms. Gabrielle Stubblefield.
Good evening. I just wanted to let all of you know some of my goals for this year. I know it's a little late, but I was just able to meet with Dr. Bravo, and we were able to just set some ideas in motion. One of the goals is that I would like to establish different resources for college and SAT prep and connect with the college and career department. I would also like to create workshops
Hall is now joining.
workshops that are virtual that address life skills like financial planning, paying taxes and credit, etc., things like that. I would also like to make sure the students are adequately prepared when they leave high school. In addition, I would like to establish some school site check-ins, meeting with, which would be meeting my goal in which every student feels supported academically, socially, and emotionally. I'd also, in addition to meeting with ASB presidents, I plan to meet with the trustee areas and the ASBs with the middle school and high school ASB presidents so we can discuss each area's needs and celebrate and, celebrations. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's move to D1. Conduct a public hearing and adopt resolution number 4743, assurance of sufficient availability of textbooks and/or instructional materials and assurance that the core curriculum is aligned to the state content standards. I will now open the hearing. Are there any speakers?
Yes, I have one speaker, Mr. President. Kathleen Cheers.
Good evening. I would like to draw your attention to the High School Williams Act report attachment, page 10, World History. Please note the date of these textbooks, 2006, 2007. We are now fast approaching 2022. That makes these textbooks 16 years old. U.S. government just above it, the same date. We even have books dating back to 1997 on this high school list. If you review the middle school list, many of those textbook dates not even listed. You care about your Spanish speakers, 1, 2, so much their textbooks date back to 2002. Simply putting this report out for a public hearing means nothing if you are not going to provide our students with educational materials which are relevant and up to date. Why didn't you use some of the CARES Act monies to provide your teachers with up-to-date teaching resources? There are books on this list dating back to the late 1990s. Board members, did you research this list prior to tonight's meeting? Did you even look at it? Your current buzzwords, ethnic studies. Perhaps you might want to include books which teach the truth about Christopher Columbus, the truth about slavery, the truth about the Holocaust. Start there. Then there will be no need for politically correct buzzwords. When will our students in the South Bay community be given the tools they deserve and our tax dollars pay for? Thank you.
No further speakers?
Thank you. The public hearing is now closed. Do I have any comments from the board or questions on this? Do I have a motion to adopt resolution number 4743?
So moved. I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Stubblefield?
Yes.
Arencibia?
Yes.
Hall?
You broke out.
You're muted, Mrs. Hall.
Yes, I forgot I'm not on the computer audio. Sorry. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you. Segura?
Yes.
Solis?
Yes.
Tarantino?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. This is the point on agenda where members of the public may address the board on any matter not on the agenda and have 3 minutes each to do so. The Board of Trustees cannot legally take action or respond to the matters not posted on the public agenda, but will refer the matter to the superintendent's office for review and report. Thank you for your cooperation.
Jenny Schultz? Scheit, I'm sorry, it looks like a U.
Hello, welcome board. My name's Jenny Spivak-Scheit, and I am a mother of 3 students that either attended or are currently going to Eastlake High School. And I am here, I don't know if you remember me, but I was here about 1.5 years ago. And I was here because I think it's really important to get a pool at Eastlake High School. And the reason being is because water polo has been great for my sons. And I feel like it's an equity issue because currently, if you want to participate in water polo or swim team, you have to drive at least 20, 40 minutes, depending upon where the pool is, to be able to go to practice. Practice is 7:30 to 9:30. It's 5 days a week. I don't think all families have the resources to do that, and that breaks my heart because it's been so good to us. When I looked at researching a pool at Eastlake, there have been moms for years who have been trying to get this, and families. It's been decades going on, people wanting the pool. When my son was a freshman, there was a mother, Laura Waller, who was trying to get a pool at Eastlake. And I finally started researching it when my son, Diego, graduated. And I wanted to see, well, what is, because I know I keep hearing pools are expensive. They're expensive to build, they're expensive to operate. So I started to look at the money. Number one, it seems like from my perspective, we have the money to pay for the pool. If you look at Melrose, our Melrose, for Eastlake residents, CFD1, according to the budget, we have $40 million. That money can be spent on capital expenditures like a pool. I had someone who is recognized at building high school pools throughout the state was kind enough to give us a budget. He projected a pool at $7 million, a 50-meter pool, $7 million. That means you still have $32 million left over for other capital expenditures. The second reason in terms of money, operating expenses. The operating expenses of a pool are about $150,000. We are currently paying Southwestern College $120,000 a year to rent the pool for 4 hours a day, 5 days a week. We are already basically paying for a pool. If we were to build a pool at Eastlake, number one, you have the community that wants it. You have the students that want it. You have the numbers all falling in line, and it's the right thing to do. There's been a petition started by volunteers. I have over 600 signatures and counting. We also have about 300 student signatures, and that's counting as well. So I just wanted to let you know there's tons of people here supporting it. Eastlake wants a pool. We will use it, and it's the right thing to do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Diego Scheit?
Hello. I was also here about 1.5 years ago, and she is my mom, and I also agree that we should have a pool. Driving to practice super late at night, driving home from practice, was definitely a pain. And before school started later, waking up for school was terrible as well. And even now, I have diminished sleep. Well, not anymore. I graduated in 2020. I'm just recalling from my high school years. But yeah, having a pool on campus would help out with everybody being able to go to practice. We'd be able to practice at a regular hour. Most of the teams at our school are practicing right after school. We shouldn't have to wait until 7:30 to 9:30, get home at 10 o'clock, and then be in bed by 10:30 to wake up at 7. It really doesn't make sense, and it's not promoting a healthy lifestyle for our students at Eastlake High School. With the Melrose Fund, from what my mom's explained it to me, we have the money to pay for the pool. We're already paying a pretty large fee to rent the pool out from Southwestern College. And mind you, that's to take half of a 50-meter pool. We share the 50-meter pool with another school at the same time. They practice at the same time as us, and it's kind of ridiculous. When I was still playing there was an insane amount of kids on the team, and we did not have enough space to practice. So I think having a pool at Eastlake High School would help everybody have access to water sports. And yeah, I think it'd be a great idea. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Alex Scheit.
I'm Alec, and I think we should have a pool at Eastlake High because it will be cool for people to like do like exercise in the pool for like PE and stuff, rather than like running the mile or like doing other thing like in terms of like playing a sport that involves running. And I think it would just be a good idea, so then they can like for people that haven't really got to swim before, they can like learn how to do it when they use the pool. So I think it's a good idea, especially because we had the money for it and all that. But yeah, I don't know. I just think it's a good idea to have a pool at school.
Thank you.
Matthew Aluno.
Good afternoon, board members. I'm also here to show my support to build a pool here at Eastlake. I like to state that I graduated back in 2020, so I understand that my time has come, but for other generations, other students, you know, that option is still on the board to build a pool for them. I participated in swim and water polo at Eastlake High School, and those 4 years were like one of the greatest experiences of my life. I think that others should be able to experience that too there at Eastlake. We have the money for it. Why not? It's a great experience. A lot can benefit the community. We all want a pool. I think it's a great idea. I think I should just dwell on that idea, consider it. It'd be good for the community. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Kathleen Romero.
Hi, board members. I'm Kathleen. I have 2 students currently at Eastlake High School, and Ginny didn't mention this, but we have a petition going that's got over 600 signatures right now. So it's not just this group here. There's many people in the community that see the value in a pool. And I just want to emphasize the late nights for these kids. It's a big problem. Secondly, it's not equitable with the other sports on campus. But beyond that, it's not putting our athletes on a level playing field with athletes from North County, East County, other places. So our kids who want to pursue water polo past high school are at a major disadvantage because they don't have the playing time, they don't have the resources that these other kids do for free. You know, we're gonna have to go outside and pay if we want our kids to succeed in water polo. So it's really frustrating. And these kids are great kids. They should have a pool. And it's also not fair that Mar Vista has a pool and is getting a new pool, and we, you know, all the other schools, frankly, not just Eastlake, should have a pool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mark Robertson.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mark Robertson. My son's here, Jake Robertson. He's a water polo player at Eastlake. He's a freshman. I'm here on behalf of Eastlake High School to beg, request, demand a pool be built. It's time. Eastlake was built in 1993. It's been a long time. There's no pool. Think of all the East or the South County schools. You've got one pool, Mar Vista. Don't count Coronado. And you've got Mater Dei. That's a private school. It doesn't count. Where's the pools in South County? Where are your pools? This isn't Eastlake's pool. Where's your pool? You're our board. You're here for the kids. The kids want a pool. The community wants a pool. Please give them that pool. It's on you. It is your responsibility. It's not the responsibility of the 600 people begging for it. It's your responsibility to take the money that we pay into for our kids for you to give it to them. It is your turn to provide to the kids. The kids want it. They need it. It's only the right thing to do. Go to North County. I was just there. Every new school that gets built has a pool and has a big pool. Let's make it equitable. This is a equitable argument. This is a begging to you argument. Because the time's now. Yes, he's a freshman. He may get to use it. He may not get to use it. But for generations, kids will get to use it. And I think now is the time. You've had your time to wait. You have had your time not to act. Now is the time. The money is there. The money is there for you to make the right choice, to build the pool for these kids and for the kids to come in the future. Thank you.
Maria McDuff.
Hi, I'm Maria McDuff. On behalf of the Eastlake High School, my son really enjoys water polo. He was on a swim team last year before pandemic hit. He really enjoyed swimming. It's the best workout for him. And he went into a depression after the pandemic. He went into some, substances. It really affected him mentally. And I just want to let you guys know that it's a new life for him this year. And I feel that he has good friends also, surrounded by good friends, and he has a friend that has a brother who actually had scholarship to SDSU because of the water polo. And he's now in SDSU with a free scholarship. So I feel that that's also something I can encourage him, even though he's junior now, but his classmates and the generation that's going to come. I feel that having a pool, we can draft more kids to go to the Olympics, right? We have some players to a baseball game in Padres that came from Eastlake. Football, why don't we have for water polo? Swimming team we have a great team, and these kids are dedicated, they're motivated, and they're just committed. And I feel that this is the time for us to really do what's right for them, especially with this pandemic. The mental health became a crisis, as well as what you guys already know. So I feel that diverting to something useful would be something that we owe them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nick Romero.
Hello, I'm Nick Romero, and I go to Eastlake High School, and I'm on the water polo team. And our situation that we have right now is not ideal because we have to get home really late at night, and I know that I still have to eat dinner, do some homework, and go to bed really late. And waking up early in the morning is not ideal. Having a pool at Eastlake would be better because we could practice right after school and be able to get home early, do homework, and have the rest of the night to relax and go to bed early. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Jake Robertson.
Hi, I'm Jake Robertson. I'm a freshman at Eastlake High School. As stated by Diego, teenagers don't get enough sleep, so just pushing the hours back for school, start times for school wouldn't help as much because that means people would still stay up late doing homework. And the start time for our practices for 7:30 to 9:30, we do get home really late. I can say I usually go to bed at like 10 because I still need a shower, brush my teeth, eat dinner. And people are always saying teenagers need more sleep. Sleep helps you get over sicknesses, and with the pandemic going on, that may help a lot. But we can't get that sleep with our situation right now, with going to Southwestern from 7:30 to 9:30. Oh, sorry. With this pool that we could practice either right after school, maybe 30 minutes after school, just so we would be able to get home, do some homework, relax, and then go to bed early for school next day. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Geo Scheit.
Good evening. I'm sure some of you may recognize me. I was here about a year and a half ago with my mom and my brother, who you probably also recognize. So I just have a couple of things to say. Obviously, everyone here has been pretty vocal about their opinions regarding the pool, regarding the financial status of the pool and where we would get the money from. Those points have kind of been covered. The main thing for me is like community involvement. So because of the pandemic, I definitely withdrew from like my classmates, from my peers, from being involved with my school. So something to definitely consider is that having a pool at Southwestern, while it's not far from Eastlake High School, it is a barrier for students to go to the games or to the practices or to even feel that they would be able to attend and join these activities that we have, like swim team and water polo. I know for me personally, it hasn't been an issue, but there's definitely people who won't be able to find a ride to get home at 9:30 or 10 o'clock, or even be able to drive like 20 minutes to Southwestern. Other things is that right now, the amount of people that go to our games is pretty low. Water polo obviously isn't a popular sport or as popular as it should be, but having a pool at our school could encourage more people to come out to the games to support us, and then ultimately it could boost the popularity of aquatic sports throughout the whole community. Regarding Otay Ranch and Olympian High School, these other schools in our community. Some other things to mention, just really briefly. I'm sure you've all heard like the water PE, but also water safety. A lot of people that I know at my school don't know how to swim, or they're not very comfortable in the water. There's recently been a surf club started, and I went to the meeting today. One of the questions asked was, raise your hand if you know how to swim. And like half the people raised their hands, right? Which is interesting. Why would you join a surf club if you don't know how to swim, right? But that also shows that the pool could be utilized for more than just extracurriculars. It could also be utilized to help people not die, or to save lives, I suppose. So yeah, just a couple things. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Ann Temmie?
Clerk, how many more speakers do we have on this item?
There's 10 more speakers. They didn't all put a subject. I'm assuming they're all for this item, but I'm not sure.
So I would like to, as per board policy, limit this to 20 minutes. I think we've gone over that. So if we can listen to this speaker, I don't know how sure we can tell who wants to speak. I don't want to exclude anybody that's not speaking about the pool. I don't know how we could do that, or can we do that? I'm pretty sure we get the message.
Yeah, there's several cards that didn't put a subject. I'm not sure if anybody's here to not speak about the pool. I guess if they could come forward, if they're filled out a card to not speak about the pool or about another subject, we could do that.
Okay. So this will be our last pool comment, and then
Wow,
and then
okay.
we'll go.
So I'm Ann Tenney, and I'm going to speak for the rest of the other 30 people.
Thank you.
So there's been a lot of things that have been mentioned already, but one of the things that I think that might also benefit not only Eastlake High School, but the surrounding community, we've touched on a little bit of the importance of water safety, but what about all the other high schools that are in the Sweetwater Union High School District? Whether it's water polo or swim, using that time for practice right after school, there's still more water time. So Hilltop High School could be using the pool as well. Eastlake, obviously would be there, but then what about Olympian, not too far, Otay Lakes or Otay Ranch. There's a lot of other high schools that could use it as well. We love going down to Mar Vista for our club sports, but obviously they're getting their pool done. We would just like to be able to have one as well. Thank you.
Thank you. So if we have any other speakers, public comments about non-agendized items that have comments to make on other items, please come forward. Okay, looks like that's it. We really appreciate all the speakers, and we get your point. And as I read earlier, we can't make any comments on it, but we, I'm sure the point is understood. So thank you. Let's see here. Let's go to Clerk of the Board. Will you please read the items being pulled from the consent agenda?
There is a correction to Board Agenda Item Q1. The resolution should be titled Filipino American History Month. The board item and backup will be updated on Novus upon approval. The following items have been pulled. Item F3 by staff. Item F4 by Mr. Tarantino. Item F5 by Mr. Tarantino and the public. Item G3 by Mrs. Hall. Item H1 by staff. Item K1 by the public. Item K2 by staff and the public. Item L3 by the public. Item M1 by the public. And item N2 by the public.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded?
President Segura?
Yes.
President
Sorry,
Segura,
Trustee
may
Hall, I didn't see
I,
your hand up. Go ahead.
Ask a question?
Yes,
Point
please.
of clarification. I think last year when we had Q1 come forward as the I'd like to pull that item for discussion, Q1. And I didn't, until I heard what Ms. Necesita said earlier, I wouldn't have pulled it, but now I'm going to.
Thank you.
Ask to pull that item, please.
Thank you. So we, so that's been modified, correct? So have we voted yet?
You have a motion and a second.
Okay.
Is the modification okay by the maker of the motion?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, let's vote.
Stubblefield?
Yes.
Arencibia?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Segura?
Yes.
Solis?
Yes.
Tarantino?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, let's move to F3. I'll go first. I would just like to say, and I know this cannot be said enough, as we're getting close to spring break, which starts fall break, I'm sorry. We're getting a break. You're getting a break. And that starts next week, right? This is the last week. So I just would really like to tell all the educators, teachers, classified staff, district office personnel, everybody, thank you for all this hard work you've done over the last year and a half plus during these trying times. And I just really hope you, and I know a lot of our educators work the summer, so hopefully they'll be able to catch a break and rest this next coming couple weeks. So I just wanted to say that. And then I would like to wish a speedy recovery to Assembly District 80, member Lorena Gonzalez, who is recovering from cancer surgery, and she has shared that openly. So I just like to wish her a speedy recovery, and things went well on her operation on Saturday. Then I'd like to, I attended the John S. Lyons Foundation, which is the members of the Johns. I'm actually a Johns member from my past working in the labor and working for the building, being an electrician and working in the building trades, and their building trades business managers who and others who are John's members. And they have an award or a ceremony every year, and I won't go through all the recipients, but they awarded over $40,000 in scholarship money, some to our students. They write an essay, and they're awarded some funds. So I'd like to congratulate all of them. And my daughter actually received a scholarship fund. So congratulations to Aurora. And then I'll just mention two other people who received an award. Ken Mazaji received a Lifetime Achievement Award. Ken has lots of roots in South County and from National City, as well as his wife, Fahari, who passed away last year, I believe it was. And actually, Chula Vista Elementary School Board, and we have a board member here, Ms. Ugarte, right here, board member Ugarte, had voted on it in the last month to name the next school number 48. Is it 48? Elementary school number 48 after her, Fahari Jeffers. So that's awesome. But Ken received a Lifetime Achievement Award, and they both started at UDW, the United, I shouldn't use the acronym, United Domestic Workers, as requested by Cesar Chavez. So that's how far back they go in the labor movement. And I know our general counsel has worked in that realm and appreciate all that, and she knows all the great work they have done. And so I just want to congratulate them. And another South Bay resident, Johnny Swanson, was awarded the Johnny Award. He took upon himself to raise a lot of food, and there was over millions of pounds of food donated and then distributed to a lot of our South County residents at the school at Mar Vista, our schools where we work with Dr. Getty and the sites to allow that to happen. So I just want to congratulate those two individuals. And then I'd like to congratulate all our last seniors who have recently started their college careers, whether it's a JC, state, private, or wherever they're going. My daughter, who is a Castle Park alumni, and has earned an IB diploma. We're taking her, me and my wife are taking her to UC Santa Barbara on Friday, where she's going to start her college career. I look forward to that. And that is my comments. Anybody would like to go next? Does anybody have, Mr. Tarantino?
Thank you, President Segura. I'd like to congratulate the following students who received the Girl Scout Gold Award, which is the highest honor awarded by the organization. Each student that I'm going to name within the district selected a local or global issue that they care about. From Bonita Vista High School, Madison Bianes and Kathleen Santa Cruz. From Eastlake High School, Alana Boyd and Vanessa Sullivan and Brooke Cote. From Hilltop High School, Maddie Rodriguez. From Olympian High School, Amanda Becerra. And from Otay Ranch High School, Karina Lutz. Congratulations to all of them. I do have 2 asks. At the request of members of the community, I'd like to request that we schedule a facility subcommittee meeting at the discretion of staff whenever they can find an opening in their busy schedule. And over the last 6 months or so, we've received a number of org charts outlining different areas within the district. I was wondering if we could have all of those org charts compiled into one org chart, which shows all of the district departments, who's in charge of what, and rather than having it, a bunch of org charts that we have been getting over the last 6 months. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Tarantino. Anybody else have a comment for F3? Trustee Hall.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, President Segura. Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to our administrators for their hard work just opening the schools, and to all our teachers and staff. You have done tremendous work, and we do really want to sincerely recognize and appreciate that work that you're doing. I also attended a couple of seminars this past 2 weeks related to mental health. This past week was really impactful. A lot of great information and resources were shared, and I'm hoping that when we have our presentation today on item H1, some of that information will be shared by a group that attended that conference as well. And I'm thinking there's a lot of opportunities to bring some of the professional development and other support services highlighted in those conference. Really, it was put on by the California Department of Ed and it's Student Mental Health. It's an annual conference. This was the 5th annual conference, and I really think we need to prepare to bring as many people as you can next year for this. Again, it's really, really amazing work being done, and work that we can join in and really take part in. I think it can only benefit each and every one of our staff and students and our full community as well. I also wanted to say that I am planning to attend an opportunity to learn more about our Filipino American history here in California. There's a talk on Facebook. It's being advertised, the Watsonville Talk Story, and it's a discussion about the Delano Manong, the forgotten hero of the United Farm Workers. It's really going to be, I think, impactful and a great opportunity for students to learn about the Filipino farm work, our state, and also the United Farm Workers movement, which had such tremendous impact in my life as a young teen in California during the farm worker strikes and the marches led by Cesar Chavez and by Delano Manong. It was really, I mean, it created great change for all of us. and that work is still ongoing. The work of how people are impacted, how people coming together to work on a common cause can really make change. And I think that history is still so rich and really would benefit all of us. So I'm planning on attending that. And if anybody's interested to learn more, you can send me an email and I'll try to get you the information on how to join on that conversation. It's happening on this Saturday at 12 p.m. So that's all I have to share right now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Trustee Hall.
I just wanted to say, congratulations to the South Bay, 12 to 17-year-olds. Right now, your vaccination rate is the best in the county, and I think it's one of the reasons we're at 24%, which is one of the best in the county, if not the best in the county for that age group. I also want to thank teachers and administrators, classified staff, everyone in our district for making these past 9 weeks work. We've seen it firsthand. I understand how much stress we've gone through. As a family of educators, we've all experienced that stress at a level that has been really anxiety-filled, from positive cases in a particular classroom to having to deal with calling parents to let them know that there's contact tracing that needs to be done. This is not the ideal. This is not the ideal. And I think that I just want to thank you for being emotional healers, and at the same time to welcoming recipients to students who need and love you, despite the things that are taking place and creating stress for all of us. I want to say thank you all for every bit of effort that you have, and please take the break and enjoy it. Take the time to detach, not be here, because I know you have been here 24/7 for the past 8-9 weeks. We thank you. We understand the sacrifices that you made. We're hoping to honor those sacrifices by continuing to do our part of the job as well.
Thank you, Dr. Arancibia. Okay, that concludes F3. We can move to F4, and I believe that was pulled by Mr. Tarantino.
Thank you, President Segura. Today at about 3:30, I received a message from the president of CTA Retired, and I'd like to read it. It's an alert to all recently retired members. Governor Newsom in August has issued an executive order temporarily suspending the 180-day break in service provision in Ed Code law. This provision is what normally prevents recently educator retirees, from going back to work until 180 days have passed, or unless a specific board action is taken. Again, the suspension of the 180-day limit is temporary, with no indication yet of when it may expire. There are conditions. First of all, no one may have received any retirement incentive, no backfilling of your own previous position, annual earning limits are still in effect, and the district must get approval from CalSTRS. What defines backfilling is still unclear, and I would urge our district to apply for that permission and approval from CalSTRS, so like that we could have our retirees come back to work as substitutes. And that's all I have on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Tarantino. If there are no other questions or comments on that, Vice President Solis, go ahead.
Thank you, President Segura. With regards to AB 388, usually the standing of CSBA, what I've been told is if it takes away local control, they oppose it. So they're opposing it not because of anything else, just because it takes away local control. But that doesn't mean we can't support it. Thank you.
No other comments? I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
It's just a report item,
Just a
sir.
report. Sorry, thank you. Thank you. Let's go to F5, pulled by the public, and Mr. Tarantino.
Yes, I have one speaker. Kathleen Cheers.
The attachment indicates $40 per person and 30 persons to attend. While I did go to Catholic school and math was not considered important for girls to learn way back then, I believe the math equals $1,200. I did see the travel note, but where is Mr. Roberto coming from that he is charging $100? These $40 sushi rolls, how much has been calculated out it will cost the district food services to make per roll? When is the rollout to students? Which schools? Which students will have them added to their menus? Thank you.
No further speakers?
Mr. Tarantino, you pulled this item, sir?
Yes. I have a question about the Mendez training and consulting being offered at San Ysidro High School. I would like to know the rationale for hiring an outside source to conduct this training. It's my understanding that we brought back the program managers and the psychologist on special assignment within the equity department to conduct this kind of training, which is socio-emotional learning. And why are we not accessing our in-house expertise and going outside for $3,800? And I know that it's being funded by Title I, but we could use that money maybe for something else. So if there's a rationale, I'd like to hear it.
Thank you. Dr.
Thank you, President Segura. I'll ask Dr. Alvarez to answer that question. Dr. Alvarez.
Good evening, Dr. Aguirre, board members, Mr. Tarantino. That's an excellent question. So we do have an in-house program manager that oversees our wellness programs across the district. That person or that position is not for direct training. It is for oversight of the programs and assisting the mental health and well-being of the service providers, so mainly our therapists. There are other actions, and Dr. Moore can explain a little bit more about that particular position. But in this case, Dr. Mendez approaches it from an instructional approach, and it's really building the teams and the cohesiveness of the PLCs at the school sites so that as teachers, they are able to, number one, internalize their own social emotional awareness, where they are and what their needs and what their resources are, so that they can in turn support that instruction and that support in classrooms. Mr. Mendez is a noted expert in this area. We have utilized him across the district. In particular, we have Palomar High School that uses them on a yearly basis, and as part of our ATSI and CSI programs, we've brought him in to support. We do have some staff members that can certainly support this intermittently across the district, but this is a program that for this particular site will be ongoing, and so they wanted someone that could provide that consistency. So.
Okay. All right. Do we have any other questions from the board on that? I would just say I was reading over the sushi on a roll item again, and it's not just about making how many sushi rolls you make. It's also a team building and training opportunity for the nutritious services team, and I fully support that. As it helps them to expand our menu and do some team building. So I think that's a really good idea, and because I really like sushi myself. Not that I'll be there, but I just really think that's a good thing. So if I don't have any other questions or comments on that, entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Ms. Hall.
Oh, Ms. Hall.
Trustee Hall seconded it first.
Trustee Hall.
I was trying to second. So
I read your lips, Paula.
You got it.
I unmuted thing again.
Thank you. Vote,
Sorry.
please.
Stubblefield?
Yes.
Arencibia?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Segura?
Yes.
Solis?
Yes.
Tarantino?
Abstain.
Motion passes 4 yes, 1 abstain.
G3, pulled by Trustee Hall.
Thank you. The reason I pulled this one is to find out how this is about the ACES program and going to different places like laser tag and rock wall climbing And I want to thank staff for bringing this with, including Mar Vista High School in this mix, as well as Granger Junior, Montgomery Middle, Chula Vista. I'm kind of missing Mar Vista Middle. I was hoping that they would be included. But my main question is, how do kids get to these places from their home school? Not everybody has transportation, so I'm just asking that question. And maybe you can enlighten me on why you don't have like Southwest Middle and Southwest and Montgomery or Mar Vista Middle included in the contract.
Thank you, Trustee Hall. Superintendent?
Thank you, President Segura. I'll ask Dr. Alvarez. Again, there's two questions there. One is about whether or not there's transportation, and then the selection process for the schools who are participating. Dr. Alvarez?
So good afternoon again. Thank you, Mrs. Hall, for these questions. So in some of the cases, the activities are actually brought to the school site. For example, there's a laser game truck that comes to the school site. There are some inflatable courses that are brought to the school site. If the activity is off-site, then through the ACES or Assets Program, transportation is provided. So it's not provided in the contract with this particular organization, but through our ACES and Assets programs, we provide the transportation if it's not offered on-site, as some of them are, where they bring them on. The second part of the question is, why are only some schools receiving these supports? And that's because it was site selected. So in the state and federal program office, we bring vendors and opportunities for school sites. And really our after-school programs are based on student choice and student decisions. And so students are asked and surveyed, and based on that, school sites then select different opportunities and different activities for students.
Thank you. Trustee Hall?
Yeah, I have a couple of follow-up requests based on the response, and thank you for that response, Dr. Alvarez. One, I would like to get a report back on how many students from which schools participate in what activities during this year, the number of students and the number of times they go and how they go, what those are and what those look like. And my second request is that we have the results of whatever surveys were surveyed during the year that this was developed, which I assume the surveys were based on last year because students weren't here this year for this. So, I mean, I would like to know that. How were they surveyed? How many students responded to the survey? What were the questions on the survey? And that's what I'd like to know, please. So I hope you can provide that in a Friday update within the next couple of weeks. Thanks.
Thank you, Trustee.
I mean, the survey part would be provided before the end of the year, but at least at the semester, a mid-year report on the participation and then a final report at year end I would really appreciate that. Thanks.
Thank you, Trustee Hall. If there's no further questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve the MOU for G3.
So moved.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Stubblefield?
Yes.
Arencibia?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Segura?
Yes.
Solis?
Yes.
Tarantino?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. That takes us to H1. I believe it's a presentation.
Yes, we have one speaker. Would you like to hear the presentation first or the speaker?
The presentation, please.
Okay.
Dr. Aguirre, are you ready for our presentation? Okay, just
Dr. Moore, sorry.
Just making sure.
Yes,
Thank you.
Dr. Moore.
Thank you, Dr. Aguirre. And good evening, Board of Trustees. This evening, we will present a brief report regarding suicide prevention and wellness. Last month, this board approved a resolution proclaiming September as Suicide Prevention Month, so this presentation is timely. Also, earlier this month, the San Diego Suicide Prevention Council released its 2021 annual report. And while in 2020, there was in our region a slight decline in documented suicide deaths, we all know that one completed suicide is one death too many. Further, we know that the pandemic has fostered an environment of loss and trauma, two factors that can lead someone, especially our young people, to contemplate suicide. As such, it is within these conditions that the Educational Equity and Support Services Division is proud to have our school psychologist on special assignment, Dr. Margaret Sedor, present on our efforts regarding suicide prevention and wellness. At this time, I'd like to call up Dr. Sedor to conduct the presentation.
Welcome, Dr. Sedor.
Thank you, Board of Trustees, Superintendent, and thank you, Dr. Moore, for the introduction. I would like to say thank you for providing this opportunity to engage in this very important conversation, and as well for supporting the September being the Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. On your desk, you do have some ribbons, and we also have a certificate to say thank you for your leadership for our students' safety and wellness. We gave you 3 ribbons, one for you to give to someone that you care about, and to give them a second one so they can pay it forward to someone else. So before we engage in the conversation around suicide prevention, it's very important to be mindful around language. Language matters. So having safe messaging, when we talk about suicide, we talk about attempts, not successful or unsuccessful suicide attempts. We also want to talk about someone dying by suicide rather than committed suicide. That could lead towards a sense of judgment, like a crime or a sin. And we really want to start with the end in mind. Most people who are contemplating suicide don't want to die. What they want is to get rid of the pain. And they have exhausted all of their tools to rid themselves of that pain. That's what all of our collective work is here today. Every student, every staff member, every community member, to really bolster hope, that lifeline. As has been said a couple times tonight in terms of the global pandemic, we've been really challenged with quite a bit in terms of our buckets being very full, people being overextended, and our lives have changed, right? So when we talk about a crisis such as the COVID-19, it really surpasses our traditional approach to crisis response. Typically, when we talk about a crisis, we have to have physical safety and the perception of that. We don't have that yet. And that has to happen before we can look at psychological safety, where we start responding to psychological triage and figuring out the needs. We are confronted with both. So a lot of our work this year is going to be around wellness promotion, not waiting until there's a need, but really filling those buckets and toolkits of safe coping strategies and ways to manage our stress, anxiety, and overload. So what we'd like to do tonight, I'm representing our District Suicide Prevention Council, and we'd like to take you through the steps of our journey of where we've gone and where we hope to go, and some of our aspirations for the future. Our District Suicide Prevention Council has been comprised of a plethora of representatives from our community: educators, school psychologists, school counselors, school teachers, administrators, parents, students, and our community partners. But let's take a step and really talk about wellness. Oftentimes we hear about self-care. A broader term that we're hoping to introduce and integrate into our work is the concept of wellness. We have two major organs, right? Our heart, where we talk about our physical health, but also our brain in terms of our wellness, our mental wellness, and being able to really bolster and have that nice, warm hug around our brain to be able to focus, to be able to learn, to be able to engage, and to be able to relate. When we talk about wellness, one of the definitions I kind of turn my hat to is having a positive attitude, being able to have an optimistic or sense of hope outlook on life, being able to balance our emotional stress, and being able to recognize as well as cope with those changes, which we're experiencing right now, and having positive interpersonal relationships. And when we talk about wellness, it's a continuum. All of us are somewhere in that continuum of optimal wellness to maybe underdeveloped wellness. That could change by anything happening around us, every day, every hour, every minute. And all of us collectively can influence the wellness of our youth. We need to have healthy adults in order to have healthy youth. So let's talk about our continuum of care as it relates to suicide prevention and wellness promotion. Historically, systems respond to need. And so we started as a district responding, unfortunately, to the death of students by suicide. We do a great job responding. We have 2 master trainers in this district of our national curriculum for Prepare, which is a state-of-the-art crisis response, myself and Ruben Sanchez. And what we have done is we've been able to train all of our counselors, our psychologists, and our therapists on doing psychological triage. Postvention is after a student died by suicide, and what our work is to create a buffer, because what we know is our adolescents are actually at risk for a contagion factor, copycatting, having multiple suicides that may respond from the death of one student. So we became really good at that, but that wasn't enough. We really had to back up, and what can we do earlier to be that pivot, to be that stop, to really engage a student, and being able to create a community of caretakers that, whether it's students, parents, community members, to recognize when there's a significant change in a youth and be able to intervene by having a conversation, noticing those signs, and connecting to resource supports. Now a lot of our work is really focusing on, and we still have to continue to work on all those areas, but we're really pivoting towards prevention and wellness promotion. And as I shared earlier with the wellness, really being able to have everyone be able to recognize, what do I need daily to take care of myself? Something as simple as identifying my strengths, recognizing what coping strategies I typically go to and expanding those and trying new ones, to being able to have wellness plans and trusted adults and friends I can go to in time of need. So here's our suicide prevention framework as a district. It includes a plan for our students, a plan for our educators, our community, and our families. AB 2246 was a law that was passed in 2016, and it required all districts who have grades 7 through 12 to be able to have a plan for prevention efforts and risk intervention. We have complied with that. We were actually ahead of the game, and to be honest, the state of California was the first state in the nation to pass such laws. The second law they needed was a Senate bill that required all ID cards to have on the back the different crisis resources. The federal government superseded that just recently. By next July 2022, there will be one number that all of us can use to be able to access help, whether it's the Access Crisis Line or Suicide Prevention Line, and that's 988. If you use your phone, you can type it in now. I have Verizon, and it does work, but it is, I'm not doing an advertisement for Verizon, but I just wanted to see if it worked, because any of these crisis lines or text lines I've used myself, sometimes just to debrief when I've had to respond to a crisis. So for our students, they've had access to the only evidence-based curriculum, Signs of Suicide, and also they all have their ID cards. In terms of our adults, we have a universal suicide prevention awareness slide deck that all staff have access to, as well as we're building capacity at our site level. So I can work myself out of a job, right? Being able to have staff members at the site that are there daily with kids. So they already have relationships built with the students and the families. So before, during, and after a crisis, they're there to be able to provide the supports. So every site has a counselor, a school psychologist, and administrator who we've been doing a training of trainers to be able to build that capacity. We've also engaged our community community partners. We've been working with the Suicide Prevention Council with San Diego, which your certificates, a lot of the toolkit information that Dr. Moore talked about is what we utilize to create your certificates. We also have been working hand in hand with South Bay Community Services. And then lastly, with our families, we have a universal training for parents as well of what to look for. And one of the biggest things we heard from our parents, they want to know more about mental health. So we've conducted mental health first aid training throughout our district. Okay, so what do we do as adults? There's 3 takeaways for each one of us as adults in this community. That is knowing the signs, the protective factors, the risk factors, but the warning signs. The warning signs are like that light on your dashboard saying we need to pay attention right now. And then being able to find the words. I teach at a graduate program in the district and at the university. It's hard to say the word suicide. Even those of us who have been trained as mental health providers, people are scared. Parents are scared. What if I say that word and they say yes, then what do I do? And then we have that stigma and the shame and blame around suicide. So helping folks just notice changes and be able to ask about suicide so that we can then connect them with the right resources. With our students, the curriculum teaches them to act, use their ACT message, to acknowledge that their friend is in need, to provide care and compassion, and tell a trusted adult. Because what we know about our youth is they oftentimes want to keep the secret, right? And that's just not a secret we can afford to keep. All right, so during COVID, what do? We don't have access to our students when schools were closed, right? So I had one young lady that I worked with, she was in our Launch Academy, who had attempted suicide twice. She had counseling resources for a year and would not talk. And so she comes to me and I'm like, well, what do I do? I'm not there with her. I don't have her on screen. We created a Jamboard, which was an interactive online way to develop a wellness plan and identify her needs, her strengths, and be able to access support. I will tell you she's successfully receiving care through our district right now. We also provided a lot of online virtual resources in interactive wellness room, as well as wellness resources. So as adults, we have to stop, pause, and breathe. We have an inordinate number of resources for our staff, for our students, for our parents, but people are resource inundated right now. So one quick message is just to make sure we stop, pause, and breathe. Can we all do that collectively for a minute? Because what we know is that bringing oxygen into our body, into our brain, is like a nice little hug for our brain to really help bring the neural system down so we can get grounded and centered. Because if we don't have that, we can't move forward with learning and activating our frontal lobe. The second initiative that we have is to engage as trusted adults. The number one protective factor for youth for suicide is to have that one person they can go to, that they have that relationship built with. But our staff need that too. We all need someone that we can go to when we might need help. So looking ahead, one of the things that we're looking at is really leaning into our wellness work. Our superintendent has charged us with developing an adult wellness center where we're working in partnership with VIVA to really provide resources, classes, counseling, and supports so that we can really wrap around the wellness of our adults. It's really important to have our adults grounded. We also want to update our board policy and ensure that we are compliant with all of the recent legislation, and we've evolved as a team, so we want to kind of revisit that. We also want to really engage more voices in this work. There's a lot of folks out at the sites and in the community that are doing incredible work around suicide prevention. It's not just about myself, but it's really having a community coming together and making sure that we're really getting a comprehensive, integrated plan together. We also need to update our suicide risk assessment protocol. We have them available. I email them out to folks. We have them on Google Drive. We have them in Teams. But we're still missing the mark. When you're in the middle of a crisis and you're responding to a youth at risk right in front of you, having to find the forms has been a roadblock. So that's something that we need to troubleshoot. We also are looking at doing another community forum around postvention, working with our local emergency screening units, our law enforcement agencies, and our hospitals and mental health providers, of really looking at, after we're doing a risk assessment or after we have a student who dies, what happens with the support that's wrapped around them outside of the schools, and how can we partner? And ultimately, the integration of suicide prevention and wellness promotion into our MTSS framework, being able to integrate everything we're doing around social and emotional wellness in one bucket and not having competing forces. A couple of things that are not on here, if I have 1 minute left, is to respond to Trustee Hall. There were a couple conferences that we were able to attend virtually over this past week, as well as the Suicide Prevention Council. And there's an inordinate amount of resources and learning I've done this past week, and it's been incredible. And a lot of it is around the brain and how we can really connect the brain with wellness and be able to do some training. Specifically, there is a Netflix video called Social Dilemma. And it really, I just watched it over the weekend, it really dives into technology and social media and the influence on the brain and how it's kind of training our students. So we would love to do some type of forum to have that kind of conversation. And one last thing was, that was it. So thank you very much, and I really appreciate this opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Sidor and Dr. Moore. That was a very good presentation and very important, obviously, and that's some really good work. Do we have any comment from the public, please? And then we'll go to board member comments.
Maria Teresa Harris.
Dr. Geary, trustees, colleagues. I'm here to speak, and I made a couple notes already on things that I wanted to say. The first is my student, Jake Robertson. Wasn't he wonderful? He could have done it in Spanish because he's in my bilingual geo class. We have some talented kids, and they're here because they have concerns and they're being active. And he didn't ask for community service, right? I mean, just everything about that is feel good for me. Second, when Dr. Alvarez mentioned Mendez training, let me just tell you that anytime a Mendez training came up, I jumped on it. It's phenomenal. It is worth the time it takes to write our lesson plans and hope we have the right person cover and all of that. Because what you bring back not only is really cutting edge and new information, but it's already just apply, right? You've gone through it. It's awesome. And I really hope that there's more of that for all the sites because he is incredible. I asked to speak at this point because my students are hurting. My colleagues are hurting. We're hurting. And it's manifesting in all sorts of ways. We know there's escalations of frustrations, fights, just throwing food. I mean, just craziness. And we need to take the time. It can't be about the performance task we need to take the time with our students. We need to be given the time with our students because for me, that in itself is healing. The last thing I would want to say, because I really told myself I was not going to hear that beep. The last thing I wanted to say is I can see it because all I can see is on their masks, right? Because they are awesome about wearing their masks. I can see it in their eyes, and it hurts. They're scared. And we need to help them. And I cannot stress that enough. We need to help them. Whatever resources, whatever you can bring to all our sites, it's not enough. It's just not enough. And I know that we have at least another year of this, right? And hopefully, as you know, it starts to wind down. But please help us. Thank you.
No further speakers?
Thank you. Did we have any comments from the board? Trustee Hall, you have the floor.
Thank you, President Segura. And I want to thank Dr. Moore and Margaret Cedar and the woman who just commented. I really appreciate their advocacy and the work they're doing to support our staff as we support our students. It is so important. It is important to listen and to be present when you're really to know the signs. That is the first thing you can do is get to know the signs. And there are great resources like Ms. Sidor pointed out. There is definitely resources online. Directing change is something that's coming up. It's a contest. It's a video contest for students across California. They always have certain categories that you have to, do your video for to submit it. Students submit their videos. It's all about prevention and to destigmatize mental health and getting students and families aware of what to do when somebody is in crisis, what to do when you have a friend or a loved one that you feel may be in harm's way. Those are all things that we need to really educate ourselves about because it is a preventable outcome. Having someone die by suicide is a preventable outcome. But it happens way more than anybody knows and more than anybody we want to happen to or have to suffer the loss of someone. So I think whatever we can do to expand the offerings we can bring to our district teachers and staff as soon as we can. We, not only to do the self-care and to really be mindful about how they're feeling, to understand how they're feeling, but also because you can't give triage to somebody if you're not in a good place yourself. It's like on the airplane, you have to put the mask on yourself before you can put it on the person next to you or your child. Otherwise, neither one of you are going to make it out alive. And it's similar with mental health and self-care. There's so many resources from this conference that we would put for the Department of Health. And I've been probably inundating Dr. Aguirre's mailbox with a lot of that, forwarding emails and contacts. But that directingchange.org, you can go to that website if you're interested as students. It's an opportunity for you to really get out there and do something. Not only will it help you, but it'll help those around you. And I think that's one of the most important things to do is to educate yourself about how to handle things when you know somebody is in crisis or at least struggling. I mean, what do you say when you're concerned about somebody? You can't just leave them alone. And definitely, I know from experience that they'll often are in a place where they'll reach out to you because they're struggling and maybe they've already started to give up. And we don't want them to give up and make a final choice that will really, leave a big hole in our world. So I think I want to thank everyone for this. There is one concern I have. When it was mentioned that Chula Vista Police Department partners with us on, and I know that we have resource officers, that there's a real rigorous selection process, as we learned when they did their presentation a couple of months ago. There's a rigorous process. They're here for a period of 3 years with our students in schools. My concern is when there is a student in crisis, and the police are contacted, and it's determined that that student or staff member must be taken to a place where they're going to get immediate care. It's not the school resource officer that escorts that student off campus. It is a regular police officer from the police department. And I learned from a school when I was attending the Suicide Prevention Council, the county one that Dr. Sidor had mentioned, that it was brought up that the police officer, when they come, they handcuff the student to escort them off campus. It can be a real tragic situation for our student and for those that witness it, because there's no easy way for that to protect that from happening where other students know what's going on. And I think whatever we can do to work with our police departments, and I think that's a case where we still need to really look at a partnership with the San Diego Police Department as well as the Sheriff's Department that services Imperial Beach, because we need to have the best actions all the way for our students and to make sure that we have the best opportunities to support and to really give hope to those that are struggling. So I want to thank everyone for the work they're doing, the students who are involved in that. There's opportunities right now for students to be on a council at the state level, and you can find out more about that probably from Dr. Sidor, or you can email me if you're interested in finding out how to access that. Their application period is open now for that, and I think whatever we can do, there's going to be, I think it's in March or April of next year, is the annual conference, Mind Out Loud. That's going to be really terrific for students across the state and actually across the country. The Department of California Department of Ed that had the conference last week, that conference was attended from countries across the world. People were represented in that conference. So it was amazing, and I think we can do well to access those resources ourselves. So thank you very much for doing this, for bringing this to us this month. It is a real tough time for people sometimes when when the sun goes down early and all these different things happen. It can be a hard time, but it can also be an opportunity for us to really learn how to be positive and hopeful in our daily walk. So thank you, and that's all I have to say tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Hall. I'd just like to say I truly appreciate this presentation and the meaning of it and the work that's happening and our buy-in and the importance of it. And we passed a resolution last week at the last board meeting, and that's not over. We're still work with this every day. And it's needed even now more than ever. And I'm glad that the awareness of it is growing, and it should. And I just appreciate this presentation. And my daughter in her class, I don't know what IB class or if it was IB class, but one of her assignments was to watch The Social Dilemma, and then she had me and my wife watch it, and it was very powerful. And I would recommend watching that, because that's just an added pressure on everybody and our students. And I just truly appreciate this work. Does any other board member have any comments? Go ahead, Vice President Solis.
Thank you, President Segura. Thank you, Dr. Cedar and Dr. Moore, for this presentation. I lost an uncle to suicide back in the day, and I didn't hear about it. The only reason I heard about it is because my oldest siblings heard it from my older cousins that were told, and my parents never spoke to us about it. So I know Latino households, I don't think it's even discussed. So with regards to the meetings that are had, are there translators, or is it Spanish versions also? And how are these trainings advertised? Or
So And so with regards to the Suicide Prevention Council within the district, that's mostly staff members and collaborative with students. And so those particular meetings would not necessarily have translation, but any type of forums that we're going to be doing with students and families would have translation available.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Superintendent, go ahead.
Thank you, President Segura. I just also want to express my gratitude to Dr. Cedor and Dr. Moore. As I have conversations with colleagues across really different school districts, this is an area that is understood to be an area of focus right now. It's just a huge issue, and we need to be able to provide support to our students and to our staff. Because again, we're going through something that nobody really has gone through before, and we're doing it together, and everybody reacts differently. So to be able to identify what are some of those markers, and maybe some of our students, some of our staff who is in need of support, is critical. And again, I just want to extend my gratitude for this work. It has never been more important to focus on mental health and on supporting all of our stakeholders, our students, but also our staff, and to a broader extent our community, and making sure our parents can understand that is very important. So thank you for your work.
Okay, thank you. And with that, we'll move on to K1, pulled by the public, which is the fiscal services consult agreements over $5,000.
I have one speaker, Kathleen Shears.
I'm not understanding the need for the expenditure presented under superintendent. Ms. Carbuccia, our in-house attorney, is indicating we need to spend $25,000 out of our general fund to pay someone to act as an independent party interactive process meeting facilitator. This is clearly the role and responsibility of current personnel. Just how independent is Ms. Dupre going to be? One of the parties she is negotiating with paid her. And what are the union reps? Isn't this their role to represent the employees, and Ms. Carbuccia and the risk management director to represent the district? Or is this simply a responsibility being passed on by one of the parties who claims they are too busy at our students' and taxpayers' expense? Just think how this money could be better served if it was spent on our students. It is clear leadership cares little for fiscal responsibility and is failing to hold some employees responsible for all matters that fall under their major job objectives. Aren't you the same trustee, Mr. Segura, who promised better? Aren't you the same trustee, Ms. Hall, who promised more oversight on superintendent spending? Thank you.
No further speakers?
Thank you. Do we have any comments from the board on this item?
No comments. Can I go ahead and move to approve?
That's up to you, sir.
I'll go ahead and move then.
Do we have a second on K1?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Stubblefield?
Yes.
Arancibia?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Segura?
Yes.
Solis?
Yes.
Tarantino?
No.
Motion passes 4 yes, 1 no.
K2, pulled by the public and staff. That's a presentation.
Thank you, President Segura. This evening, Ms. Picconi will be providing the updated presentation and report regarding the unaudited actuals, given that Dr. Sacco was unavailable. So with that, I will ask Ms. Picconi to go through and provide this updated information. This is an action item, since the unaudited actuals does need to be submitted to the San Diego County Office of Education. So with that, I'll ask Ms. Picconi to begin the presentation, and if we can take the questions after the presentation, that would be helpful. So with that, Ms. Picconi.
All right, thank you, Dr. Aguirre. President Segura, members of the board, Dr. Aguirre, thank you for letting me be here tonight.
Tonight, on behalf of Dr. Salkeld, I will be presenting the unaudited actuals for the year ending June 30th, 2021. So tonight I will be kind of telling you why we're here, presenting the report, showing you the results of the general fund unaudited actuals, speaking about two of the different regulatory requirements and some results of the other funds, next steps, and recommendations. So the unaudited actuals are the state statutory reporting requirements that highlights the actual revenue and expenses of the activity through June 30th, 2021. These financial results are reported to the County Office of Ed by September 15th each year in accordance with Ed Code 42100. So this first slide here I'd like to talk to you about is a year-over-year historical unaudited actuals comparison. On here you'll see it starts out in 2015 and goes up through current year. But I'd like to draw your attention to column D and at the ending balance on the bottom line. At the end of 2019, we were sitting at a $3.7 million deficit. We fast forward to the next year and we make some improvements and we're at $19.5 million, in the positive. And as of June 30th of this year, we finished the year at $71.67 million. So this is the same kind of information, except this is just comparing this fiscal year. Starting with our adopted budget in column A, I'd like to draw your attention down to the bottom. The ending balance, we did project we would be at a negative $26 million. But going fast forward through the different interim reports, going through 45 days, first, second, third interim, estimated actuals, we end up at that $71 million. So definitely an improvement. Here I'd like to show you a comparison from the last time we were here in June. We shared the estimated actuals, and from then until now, I just wanted to show you that pretty much from revenue stayed pretty stable. The most changes in the savings you'll recognize are in the expenditures for salaries and benefits of about $7.5 million, books and supplies, and services and contracts. So seeing as we're at the $71 million ending fund balance, we've been really fortunate we're able to meet and make our required reserves, including the 2% economic uncertainties, our reserve for contingencies. We have a reserve for the projected declining enrollment. In addition, we have our contractual stipends. We'll be able to pay off our early retirement incentive, as well as pay off our qualified zone academy bonds this year. So this slide is a representation of what we brought to the board in June with estimated actuals. We normally don't bring this for unaudited actuals, but we wanted to show where we were at the net beginning fund balance during budget development and estimated actuals. We were at $49 million, but with how we're ending up now, we're at $71 million, and it shows that we are still able to meet our reserves as well as maintain a reserve for declining enrollment. If you look here, everything in black is how we presented it back in June, and red is the only difference. This goes to show that even in year 3, we're able to meet our economic uncertainties. However, if I can share with you, in the out years, we will be spending at a deficit, and so we will continue to make the appropriate budget solutions in between now and then. And this slide just shows the other side of the general fund for the restricted, primarily consisting of the restricted resources like Title I, Title II, our one-time monies, and again, we're doing really well with that. So this slide here shows the major restricted resources and one-time monies that we have, and for the year 2021, it includes our carryover from 1920 and our budget, and shows where we ended up, plus the expenditures and our carryover balances that we're going to bring over to the new year. I do need to share that in column H, we have two resources that expired in May and June of 2021 that we will need to return to the grantor since we were not able to spend all of it. Also on here for the Title I, on column G, it shows that we have a $4.3 million carryover. However, we're only allowed to carry over 15% of that balance, which is about the $1.6 million. We are still spending money because we do have until September 30th to continue to spend that down, and we may not have to return it all. Also, we're looking, hoping that the state will be able to work with the federal government to get another extension. So during 2021, we issued a trans and borrowed about $36.8 million. And I'm happy to share that as of August 27th, we have paid it in full and have completed our obligation. Just touch really quick on a couple of our reporting requirements. One of them is Gatsby 68, which is the pension reporting. This Gatsby requires us to report the on-behalf pension contribution to CalSTRS, which is about $21 million this year. Moving along, this one is new. So Gatsby 84 for fiduciary duties. This is a new Gatsby this year that was required to be implemented this year. And it essentially states that we need to report the activity of the associated student body accounts. And so a new fund, 08, was created. And this year we had to compile all of the activity for all of the school sites, for all of the ASBs, and report their total revenues, total supplies and services, and show their ending balance. So this slide here that you see is a compilation of all of the ASBs at the high schools and middle schools and adult schools. Okay. Let's see, and so we have our other funds. So on the next two slides, I'd just like to bring your attention that, we are finishing off with a positive ending fund balance for Fund 11, which is our adult education fund. We are able to maintain a 2% reserve, and the same goes for Fund 13. We're able to also maintain our 2% reserve here as well. Now, all of these slides are in your board package, so I'll just go through these really quickly, but the only thing I want to highlight about these special funds is that they're all ending with a positive fund balance. Okay. So we have a lot of them. So the next steps is for us to submit this to the County Office of Education along with all the SACS report and the supplemental forms. And at the same time, we are undergoing our external audit that started with the field work back in May. They are currently working on the district-wide financials, and we hope to bring that report to you by December 13th, or at the December 13th meeting. So with that, the staff recommends that the Board of Trustees approve the 2021 unaudited actuals financial report and submit to the County Office of Ed in accordance with Ed Code 42100.
Thank you and welcome. I really appreciate you stepping up and doing this for us, this presentation, and providing us all those good numbers.
Not in a bad way. I mean, you perform magnificently under the pressure, right? There was no pressure, right? You have to step in on one of the more important kind of presentations that we get in the district, right? So you did a wonderful job. Thank you so much for the information.
Thank you very much.
We have two speakers to this item.
Sure.
Julie Walker.
Board President Segura, members of the board, and Dr. Aguirre. My name is Julie Walker. I'm a teacher in this district and the president of the Sweetwater Education Association. The report of the financial department of the unaudited actuals for the fiscal year 2020 to 2021 is very encouraging. The work of the finance team along with district leadership has gotten the district into a very promising realm. I want to remind you that the teachers, nurses, librarians, and speech pathologists have taken a reduction in pay by reducing their school year by 3 days. The association agreed to this because we realized that the district could no longer afford the extra time. We have also not had a raise since the 2016-2017 school year. While our salaries decrease, members with families have been seeing their health care costs increase by an average of $1,000 per year. Teachers with families using the most economical health plan and dental will have to pay over $8,000 per year out of pocket. The benefits contributions by the district has not increased since 2017. This year, the governor gave all districts a super COLA of over 5%. This will structurally change the district's budget in the out years. You have the members of my association, along with the other labor groups, who have worked hard for this district, looking at other districts receiving 3% and 4% raises, in some cases even more. It used to be that Sweetwater was a leader in salary and benefits. We could attract the best and the brightest. As a teacher from a small East County school district, when I joined the district, I benefited close to $5,000 my first year in this district with the better salary and benefits. Now we no longer are the most attractive place to teach. Grossmont High School District now pays better than Sweetwater. San Diego is becoming closer to our salary levels and has fully paid benefits for all members. We need to think long-term and do what's right for all employees. We have worked for the students and community during a very challenging time. We are having problems filling positions at all levels, from instructional aides to classroom teachers. We need to think long-term and what will enhance and better our district. Keeping our pay competitive with other districts is one thing can be done to retain our present teachers and support staff and recruit new staff to our schools. Thank you.
Thank you, President Walker.
Maria Teresa Harris.
Dr. Aguirre, trustees, colleagues. I reference my colleagues because the silver lining is that my colleagues can be at home watching, right? As they grade, as they do all those things that we do as teachers that are not compensated but are expected. So when I ask that you consider fair compensation, I want you to understand that our members are going to do the work anyway because it's required. And that's the expectation that administration has always had of teachers and counselors and speech pathologists and our membership. I would want to add that this particular year, that compensation cannot even begin to address the personal costs that my colleagues took on last year when they had to get the appropriate materials and technology to be able to work long distance. And I do appreciate, we appreciate the opportunity to work long distance at that time until we could get vaccination. And so thank you. I don't mean to dwell on that, but I just wanted to point that out because we're already, I mean, as we understand its tax structure, $250 is what I could ask for compensation. Next time you go look and price a desktop, please tell me if you can find one for $250 because I couldn't, okay? I would ask that you also consider class size, especially for my colleagues in CTE. Mr. Tarantino, please come and see our CTE workers whose classes have 47 students because there are 2 sections. How do I know? Because I covered that class. Because we're down on teachers, right? We don't have enough teachers, so you've asked us to cover during our class coverage, or excuse me, during our prep, and we do. And thank you, because that extra bit, that's more technology I can get, right? So I do appreciate that. However, we go back to that compensation, because my grading didn't get done, my lesson planning didn't get done. If I'm working during my prep, then that is something that has to be used, that I have to do it another time. So once again, I really want to emphasize that I believe that we're asking for fair compensation for all that we do outside of the duty hours that get seen on a campus.
Thank you.
No further speakers?
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that presentation, Dr. Getty and your team. And go ahead, sir.
Thank you, President Segura. Yeah, so just wanted to say, again, just reiterate the gratitude to the team across the Department of Finance, but also the broader district, everybody coming together as we understand, the past 3 years have been a little bit of a roller coaster for us, even before the pandemic. So to be able to be at a point where we have this fiscal stability, I think is helpful. And I think for us, the key is to be prudent, to be fair, but prudent. And so definitely at this point, we are bringing forward this recommendation. I wanted to point out that some of the savings that we did have were one-time in nature because of the pandemic impacts. Some of the revenues were one-time in nature. And so some of the ESSER funding, the federal funding, some of the state funding, and the learning, expanded learning opportunities grant. So again, for us at this point, this is the result of a lot of hard work, a lot of focused work. And so we are at this place, again, of stability. If you noted at one of the slides, it does indicate we do anticipate continuing to have that deficit spending. That occurs mostly because we anticipate a decline in enrollment. And how do we project that out? So we at the secondary level have the ability to work with our feeder districts. And as we look at our feeder districts, they are also experiencing some of that decline. So for us is, how do we make sound budget decisions in a way that reflect kind of our reality currently, as well as our projected reality, and do it in a way that's fair to all of our stakeholders, and really acknowledges that piece. We continue to work hard with all of our teams internally, as well as with our stakeholders, so that we can have those conversations in a way that's fair. But definitely this report of unaudited actuals for the fiscal year that completed is in a very sound place. What I wanted to also point out is one of the slides is not necessarily typical for unaudited actuals, the slide that calls out for the MYPs, the multi-year projections. Because of some of the improvements that have happened, we do anticipate at this point being able to move forward in a more positive place to be able to meet that 2% reserve requirement, not only for the next 2 years, but also that third year, which is critical as we begin those conversations and that dialogue with the San Diego County Office of Education. We also make some reserves, as you can see, for declining enrollment. We have reserves for some of the required things that we must pay off, like the QZAP, the Qualified Zone Academy Bond. So we have reserves to get us to a point to where we can begin exploring that conversation with the County Office of Ed, so that we can, again, point out to them, as you notice the numbers in red, which is column D on row 11, as well as row 12. Those actually do indicate that we anticipate being able to have that 2% reserve if all things kind of remain constant. So as things change, obviously these are dynamic numbers. I believe, this is a snapshot in time, but definitely this snapshot is in a more sound place than we've been recently. And again, it's thanks to the entire team for making those sound decisions, for coming together stakeholders to make those actions, to allow us to be at this place. So with that, I'm very proud of the work that everybody has done, and I'm very grateful for the work everybody has done.
Thank you, Dr. Gary. And I would just like to say, there's some great work been done over the years here, and a lot of it was because of our partnerships with our labor partners, and the decisions this board has made, and the leadership of Dr. Getty and the whole team, and I really appreciate that, and it's really good to see those numbers. There's a lot of good news in this, and I really appreciate that, and I look forward, towards that, point where, we could be positive 3 years out. So to me, that's super important, and I truly respect and appreciate what President Walker mentioned, and I know there has to be discussions around that, but I just I appreciate all this information. Do we have, Mr. Tarantino, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I'd like to hear from Dr. Scavarna on this issue, since he's been our fiscal advisor for the last at least 2 years.
About almost 3 years, and I couldn't be happier with the progression the district has taken and made, and absolutely, especially with the reserve that you have for the loss of the ADA and everything, I think you folks should be very pleased in the direction you've gone. And I think it also says, when you can have somebody come up and give this presentation and on a short notice, just the depth and what has gone on in that division, it speaks bounds for the work that you guys have done, and I'm very proud to be a part of it, to tell you the truth.
Thank you, Dr. Scavarna. Trustee Hall.
Thank you, President Segura, and thank you, Dr. Scavarna. I appreciate your comments. Thank you, Nancy, for your presentation. Really good, well done. It was a little fast for me, but I appreciate all the, because there was a lot of information. The last slides, you went through them pretty fast. I really appreciated the breakout on page 11 of the one-time funds, and it seems to me that where you have a pretty average, this is the $4 million carryover in Title I. It seems to be that's what's occurring over the years. It doesn't seem like that's been unusual. I would like to see us focus on getting those services to the students in the year that funding comes to us, as maybe a little bit more work on the front end rather than having so much left over. I know that some of that will be utilized over this, it's a 12 month, but the federal dollars go through September 30th, so sometimes there's an overlay in some of that carryover that really is for salaries and benefits during the off months. But I just wanted to point that out. I really appreciate the fact that we have come so far, and I want to thank our partners, like the teachers and counselors, the management, the classified. Everyone really stepped up. They took really a strong lead, each one of them. Every one person in this, workers in our district did a tremendous job coming together and really helping to do this. We couldn't have come to this point without them. And I want to echo Dr. Scavarna's comments. It really makes a difference having people in finance that have real capability of presenting and understanding and knowing that this board needs information clear, concise, and accurate. And I have confidence, Dr. Aguirre, that you are bringing that to us and have been doing so for the last year and a half. I really appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to seeing us really flourish, even in a period of declining enrollment, because we have great instruction, because we have great staff, because our schools have been doing this good work for many, many years. I know people will be looking to Sweetwater to lead the way for years to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Did we have a public comment on this tonight? Did we receive that already?
Yes, we already heard it.
Okay, I want to make sure it didn't. I know you won't let that happen, but sometimes I go too fast. So with that, we will need a motion for the approval of the fiscal year 2020.
I will make a motion to approve.
Audit actuals of K2. There's a motion. Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Stubblefield?
Yes.
Arencibia?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Segura?
Yes.
Solis?
Yes.
Tarantino?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Let me just ask the board here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 more items. Do you want to go through or have a bathroom break? Okay, let's go. Let's move to L3, pulled by the public.
I have one speaker, Kathleen Cheers.
Circle tonight on the calendar. This is one of the few times you will hear Mrs. Cheers endorse a promotion and a raise. I am assuming this agenda item is referencing Mr. Chakowski. Contrary to some's beliefs, Mrs. Cheers does endorse Sweetwater management if and when those persons represent knowledge, hard work, competent persons with expertise. Mr. Chakowski and I have history. We worked together on the Montgomery High Propo 2 project. He would undoubtedly acknowledge I was a challenge. Off the record, his description would probably be a bit more colorful. My constant questions and follow-ups, getting on his last nerve, I am sure. However, he never took it personally and remained the constant professional. Who better to entrust our children and employee safety to? Thank you.
No further speakers.
Thank you. If there's no further, it wasn't pulled by trustees, but entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Stubblefield?
Yes.
Arencibia?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Segura?
Yes.
Solis?
Yes.
Tarantino?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
That moves us to M1, pulled by the public,
I have one speaker, Kathleen Cheers.
is planning and construction.
Yes, I'm sorry. You could give me just 1 second here. Okay. Board members, is there an inside connection with Sweetwater who has a vested interest in this company? Is this project going to be just like the Hilltop High fiasco? Or will you listen to the valid concerns, ask questions, and analyze the importance of what I'm going to ask you? First, I'm going to give you the definition of what construction quality assurance is. It is about a plan. It is carried out before the construction project starts. Quality assurance is a process that manages for quality. QA lists the processes, standards, and procedures that need to be carried out and ensures they are known to the people who need to know them. This is why we have a PLA, right? For quality work and high skill, right? Don't we have staff members that are qualified in understanding building codes, permitting, etc.? Remember that big book Paul Woods drafted? It was supposed to be Sweetwater's Bible on construction projects. Don't tell me it is lost in the archives of dust, like all those plans we alerted you to about 6 years ago. What does the PLA coordinator do during all of this extra time? Maybe he should be maybe he should look for quality general contractors. Why does Sweetwater continue to hire unqualified people? Why are we outsourcing work our staff members should be doing? When you voted in the PLA, we were guaranteed quality work. Why then is this needed? Union contractors have a project manager assigned to each project. We have a project manager assigned to each project. There is a state-certified inspector reviewing every step of the construction. So what purpose does this company serve? Just think, if this company works 2,000 hours on this project, that's $200 an hour. For what? To ensure quality? To ensure things are being done correctly? Why do we need staff? Why don't we just have him do the job? Why don't we just do design build? Number one, this company's website is very limited. No past or present projects listed. Their LinkedIn is bare, and you are giving them a $500,000 contract. Why? Do a Google search right now on your laptop, and you will see that what I'm telling you is correct. Where is the history of successes that have earned them this contract? There are none listed, as in nil, zero. Number two, has anyone done a background check on this company and the principals in the company? We have. I have just spoken the words of Matty Agato. Thank you very much.
No further speakers.
Thank you. Do we have any comments from the board around this? And Dr. Getty, maybe we can get an explanation of work that the quality control work that is listed here is going to do, and if it's required and all that sort of stuff around this type of work.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, President Segura. Definitely, I just want to kind of highlight that this company is being brought on for Inspector of Record services. Construction Quality Assurance Group is the actual name of the consultant, just as a note. But I do want to have Ms. Quirk respond to some of the questions as appropriate. Ms. Quirk.
Good evening. Thank you for the questions. So as Dr. Aguirre mentioned, this is for our Inspector of Records services. We are actually having to replace this contract with another as the previous person unfortunately cannot continue with us due to severe situations. We track the project by hour. They implement all of the DSA plans and ensure that it's being installed per plans and specifications. The QA, it's CQAG is their nickname for their company, and it's an acronym to which they use. And they actually usually come in at about 60% less of what their proposals are. So please let me know if you have any other questions.
Do you have any other questions around this item? I'd like to thank you for that requirement, and you know, it's great. I come from the construction world, and that's not uncommon. It's actually the norm that you have project managers on the owner, the contractor, the subcontractors, and inspection of records, and it's just part of what needs to be in place to help ensure you have a successful project. So with that, I'll entertain a motion for approval. I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
I'll second.
I'll let Ms. Hall have the second.
Thank you, sir. Vote, please.
Stubblefield?
Yes.
Arencibia?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Segura?
Yes.
Solis?
Yes.
Tarantino?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Let's see, does that take us to N2?
Yes.
Pulled by the public, thank you.
I have one speaker, Kathleen Cheers.
Thank you. Infinite Campus. Is it going away? Will teachers continue to have to input grades on Jupiter, attendance on Infinite Campus, and at the end of the grading periods also need to go back and enter grades on Infinite as well? How is this going to affect the new reporting system the county mandated you implement to deter any future unreported deficits? Thank you.
No further speakers.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from the board around this item N2?
None at all.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Stubblefield?
Yes.
Arencibia?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Segura?
Yes.
Solis?
Yes.
Tarantino?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. And our final item is Q1, and a resolution, and Ms. Hall pulled it.
Thank you, President Segura. I pulled this item because of and I want to thank Ms. Basilio for pointing out that there was a change from Heritage Month to Filipino American History Month. Last year, around this time, I was the recipient, along with other board members, of an email from Reynila Calderon Magbuhat, who really taught me about the difference between heritage and history as it relates to this item. The term heritage is sometimes used interchangeably, but there is a difference. As one of the founding, this is what I received in the email. It was written by Ms. Reynila. As one of the founding members of the San Diego chapter of the Filipino American National Historical Society National Chapter, history is quite important. The term history encompasses the lives, experiences, and events of people and their impact on society, while heritage refers to cultural traditions that are passed down. The month of October should be focused properly on history rather than heritage, because in in 1992, Filipino American History Month was designated by the Filipino American National Historical Society. In 2006, it was recognized statewide in California, and in 2009, recognized nationally. So there is a reason why Filipino American History Month is designated in October. Through the research of Eloisa Gomez Bora, the FAN's trustee emeritus and former UCLA librarian, she provided evidence that Filipinos first landed in what is now known as the continental United States in the Central Coast on October 18, 1587. I didn't even know that. Her research was published in UCLA's AmeriAsia Journal in 1996. Through her island groups of the Philippines, then a Spanish colony, while Indios was the term referred to the natives of the islands at the time. Thus, Filipinos have had a historical presence in the New World for over 400 years. Isn't that amazing? I know that there's so many other parts of history that we can learn about from not only Filipino American History Society, but also from all the other different groups that have come to reside in California and America. And I really appreciate that we were given the opportunity to recognize it. So thank you for that, Dr. Aguirre, for bringing Q1 to us tonight. And I make a motion to approve.
I'll go ahead and second.
Moved and seconded. Vote, please.
Stubblefield?
Yes.
Arencibia?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Segura?
Thank you for those words, Trustee Hall. Yes.
Solis?
Yes.
Tarantino?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right, that concludes all our business at hand. I adjourn the meeting, and we'll see you at the end of September.
Good night. Thank you.